Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Martin. We'll get started here pretty soon, but welcome to the Platform Academy with live on ServiceNow. For the topic today is knowledge management. General housekeeping, you guys that have attended this before have seen this a few times, but we've saved time at the end for Q&A. This event specifically is primarily around the Q&A. So there is a Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen. We ask that any questions that you would like answered, please put in the Q&A panel. Our panelists are going to be reviewing those and answering some of them in the chat and answering many of them live. So please make sure to start submitting your Q&A there. Friendly banter can be in the chat window. The presentation, as always, is recorded and will be shared after the event. That generally takes about 7 days to get posted, and as soon as we can after that, we will also post the slides and the Q&A document. After this event, you're going to be prompted for a very brief survey. One of the questions on that survey is, what other topics would you like to hear about? So please make sure you fill that survey out and tell us how we could get better. Everybody's favorite slide, the safe harbor notice. So this one is about forward-looking statements. There may be some questions or discussions that talk about where we're going with knowledge management and some roadmap answers. So this is just saying, please don't make any investment or buying decisions based on the information that's forward-looking until things GA. So again, this is the Ask the Expert session for knowledge management. I'm super excited about this session. This is something that's been asked for quite a bit by the participants from previous academies. So I hope you find this very useful. The agenda today, very straightforward. We're going to start with a few frequently asked questions. Then we'll turn it over to the panelists and run through the Q&A, anything that we can answer live. And lastly, we'll touch on some closing thoughts. So I think I introduced myself at the beginning. I'm Rob Martancic. I am the Senior Principal Product Manager for Outbound Product Management, which means my focus is on enablement and working with you, our customers, to make sure you understand what our product is and the value that we're trying to provide, and then listening to you to make sure you're getting that value and feeding any information, feedback, good, bad, or directional, to our inbound product management team to make knowledge better. And on that note, we have Robin Peters on the line with us today. She's the Director of Product Management on the inbound side, so she's helping drive the direction of knowledge management and building out all the great features that you use. So after that, Natalia has joined us again. You may remember her from one of the last Knowledge Academies that we did. She's one of our technical product managers over knowledge management and has a lot of background in the space. She's here to help us with learnings around how to build out a great process, maintain the health of your knowledge base, and just general implementation lessons learned. We have Lena Solomon on the line as well. I get a lot of questions around globalization, languages, accessibility, and she's the one in the know. So she's here to answer any questions in that space and talk about some changes that have come recently to the system for that as well. Andre is joining us again. Andre is one of our platform outbounds focused on search. He's also very versed in Now Assist and synthesized results, what we're doing with Knowledge Graph, what we're doing with third-party connectors, and how to help make all of that work hand in hand with knowledge management. We have Orchard has joined us as well. She, at the last minute, said she would love to join and help answer any questions around Now Assist, custom skills. She's part of she works a lot with our skill kit and customers who are trying to build out new and exciting features. Oh, and one more. We have Mary Gilbert on the line as well. She was able to join us at the last minute, and she's part of our outcomes organization. So she helps our customers implement, run workshops, and understand the product and design processes for implementation. So we have a lot of experts on the line. As I mentioned, I'm super excited about this. So start putting in your questions related to those areas, and we'll try and answer as soon as we get through the FAQ. So we're going to try and answer as many questions as possible, but we're going to prioritize based on broad applicability. So we're going to start with the frequently asked questions, and I'm going to open this up with a poll to get started, just to get a general idea how you're using Now Assist today. So this poll ranges from we aren't using today or we don't plan on using, all the way through, hey, we're generating knowledge article drafts and we're, the feedback on that you can put in chat. And then all the way up to maybe you're building out custom skills with Now Assist, or you've already started leveraging duplicate identification, which we rolled out in May. So just let us know. We'll come back and look at those results after this first frequently asked questions. So question number one, how can AI help with knowledge management? This question comes in a million different ways, and it's usually not as straightforward as this. This lends itself to answering a broad range of questions and kind of talking about what we've released recently, but it's also about the health of our knowledge, how can we get better at building knowledge, etc. So how can AI help with knowledge management? So we have a few areas that we've attacked with Now Assist. One, the most obvious is search. We've got Now Assist with AI search that helps find the answers to questions that are asked. But we also implemented knowledge generation so that you can generate a draft based on tasks in your system. You can leverage Now Assist in the context menu to modify that generation, and we've introduced duplicates in. Okay, so we've introduced the ability to generate knowledge from a task. So here you can see an assembly line in this incident having an unplanned issue. We can actually use Now Assist to go ahead and generate knowledge and what we released on August 1st is the ability to configure skills for knowledge article templates outside our standard and KCS template. Those were the first two we rolled out. Now you will have the ability to use Skill Kit to create in your own custom templates or other templates out of the box. So here, if I go ahead and create a knowledge article, sorry about that timeout, you will see that we can draft an article with Now Assist, and it will generate that draft for us. You can see the problem, root cause, and steps to resolve are here. You can also take a section that maybe isn't understandable, not clear enough, and you can elaborate or shorten that section as well, and then use Now Assist to update that article real time. So I did mention that we have the ability to do this with custom templates going forward. That was something we've been asked for since this feature rolled out. We also rolled out duplicate identification. So this is the first step as we build towards our goal of helping the knowledge owner with the management and health of knowledge bases. So you can use duplicate identification to help you find articles that overlap, that may need to be retired, may need to be joined together and merged, etc. So that is defined on the doc site to help you walk through how to set up duplicate articles. And lastly, in the slide, I wanted to talk to our Now Assist Skill Kit and our Skill Kit use case library that's available. So you'll see that on Community. You can just search for Now Assist Skill Kit library, and you'll see that we have some great examples out there for you for Knowledge Article Coach, things like Article Compliance Review, and Article Categorizer that'll help you categorize your articles. So URL will be available in the slides, and you can find it on the community site, or it will be in the chat as well. Thank you, Eliza. All right, with that, let's take a look at the poll results and see how much we're using that. All right, looks like a good portion isn't using today, but even a bigger portion looks like it's on the roadmap. So We're excited about it. We've got a lot of stuff coming with AI and knowledge management. I kind of previewed some discussion about the Knowledge Center coming soon. You will see more AI introduced into knowledge management very shortly, and keep an eye for upcoming Academy sessions on changes coming soon. With that, let's move on to the second question. What are some tips and tricks for maintaining the health of knowledge management? And I'm going to turn that over to Natalia.
Great, thanks, Rob. So one of the questions that I get fairly frequently, and also after having a demo booth at K25, is what is and how do I keep my knowledge management content optimal? How do I ensure that it's ready for AI? A lot of customers have come to a point where they had built a lot of content within their knowledge management platforms. And what they found at the end is every year they had to kickstart another project to review outdated content, to look at duplicate content, look at content that had a significant amount of feedback. And a lot of that was done as a project as opposed to as part of the problem-solving process. So one of the key things that I always recommend that knowledge managers and just teams focus on is ensuring that they have a pulse on the quality of their content. And what does that mean? That means looking at it from an employee's perspective, or a user's perspective. So is the content findable? Is it discoverable through search? When you create the content, does the title actually reflect the context of the customer? When you're looking at the body of the content, does it answer the question? Does it map to the actual title? Is the content usable? So let's say it's discoverable, right? You're finding it through search. You're able to find the piece of content. Is it usable? Are the links within the content, are they accessible? Are they broken? Are they linking to another retired article? Do you have a good grasp of your retirement strategy for all of your content as well? And then finally, do you have the right breadth of content coverage, right? So if you have content that's on a specific subject, and given that we're moving to more of a conversational support and knowledge model, do you have the right breadth of content? Do you have the follow-up question that could potentially answer the follow-up question? So when I think about content, I think about three different areas. One is, the quality, if it's findable, if it's usable, and what are the kind of remediation areas and findings area, and then finally, breadth of content. And so one kind of anecdote, so what we did internally within ServiceNow is we leveraged AI quality agents to run an overall evaluation on all of our knowledge bases. And we focused on different parameters around usability, findability, and breadth of content. So what we did with the findings is we attached them to the knowledge articles themselves. And we were able to showcase for each knowledge article what those findings were. So we identified a large number of findings across grammar, broken links, spelling, title relevancy. And then we were able to resolve a lot of those. So it's similar to if you're running a diagnostic on your car. That's basically what we did with our AI agent. We ran a diagnostic on our knowledge base and came back with the recommended areas. So when you're thinking about quality, it really is the litmus test. It's the thermostat of your knowledge health. And those are just key areas to focus on with knowledge quality. And we can transition that over to Andre.
Awesome. So it's a great question and a common question, and it actually overlaps with some of the stuff that Natalia just said. But before I answer the question, let me just give you a little bit of the elevator pitch about how search works, how our search pipeline works, and then I will explicitly answer the question. So imagine that you're the user on the left-hand side and you go into a portal and you type in a question, what is my PTO entitlement? We'll take your question, what we call an utterance. We'll determine, are you asking small talk? Are you asking what the weather is? Are you performing a follow-up action? Maybe there's a subsequent inquiry that you're asking about, but more than likely what you're asking about is some kind of question or that requires an answer. And then what we will do is we will take that query and we may rewrite it if there's multiple contexts. But the important thing is we perform what's called a unified search, and we do a unified search across 3 different types of indices. It could be plain text that we're searching, it could be the catalog, or it could be a VA topic. And we perform the search in 2 ways. The first way is we perform what's called a keyword type of searching, and the second way is what we perform called the semantic searching. And think about the keyword as being the top 10 country western songs, and the semantic as being the top 10 hip hop songs. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at content, either knowledge articles, native content, or even external content like SharePoint, etc. And we'll come up with the best articles or knowledge to answer those questions. And then what we do is we take that information, we pass it on, and we re-rank it. So we take the top 10 country songs, the top 10 hip hop songs, and we come up with the top 5 best songs, regardless of what genre of music it comes from. And this is what gets passed over to the large language model to generate that synthesized response at the top of the portal experience. So this is generally what our pipeline looks like. There's a little mystery happening in the bottom right corner of here, which is when we ingest that content, we are creating what are called vectors of these documents. You can think of these as being digital fingerprints of what these documents are. And this is where improving search really comes into play. So Rob, let's take this pipeline, put it in our back pocket. Let's go to the next slide. So that's how our search pipeline looks like. How can we make sure that those word vectors that are being used by the search engine will provide the most relevant results? And this is kind of like the Taylor Swift top 10 list here. The way that you can make sure that those word vectors or those digital fingerprints appear the best is you can make sure that you use very specific and clear titles. So if you're having a problem with multi-factor authentication on your Mac, it should be multi-factor authentication on iMac. You should start with a summary. So often customers will have very long knowledge articles, but it's important to have a summary at the top, and that's going to aid the search engine when it's looking for that vectorized information. You should make sure that the articles are well structured in terms of using HTML headers, header 2 and header 3. You can also front load key search terms. So when you create your article titles and the body, the keywords that the search engine will index off of should appear very prominently in the title. So I won't go through all of this, but this is an example. This is kind of like the top 10 best practices that you can deploy in order to make sure that those search indices are returning the most relevant information. So that's it. I think you might be muted again.
Sorry, guys, my Q&A panel's right over the mute button. It's perfectly placed. Thank you, Andre. Nice. If you guys have any other questions around search, RAG pipeline, synthesized results, put them in your Q&A. Question 4, what's the direction of knowledge management and how is customer input used? Robin.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. This is a great one. I love customer engagement, and getting your feedback is crucial to making our product successful. So the way we interact with customer input is in 3 different areas. The first is engagement through events like this, our PAC, as well as our knowledge conference and other events like those. We also have our community site and forum for our knowledge user group, which gets great questions and answers across the community about how to use the knowledge management product. With our research team, we often do outreaches through the community, as well as these academies, and through a couple different customer avenues. The last research we had was on the Knowledge Center homepage, which we got fabulous feedback, and some of the feedback given there has been incorporated into our future plans for Knowledge Center. And then we have one plug on this, one coming up in the next month or so on our new editor within Knowledge Center. So you'll be seeing a post for that soon. So please sign up if you are interested in giving feedback on the new editor that we will be showcasing in Knowledge Center. We also have great research plans coming up over the next year, which we will post in the community as well as in forums like this when they become available. And then last but not least, we have a program called Innovation Labs that is not specific to knowledge management, but used across our platform products. Right now, we have one going for Knowledge Center, and we had one in the past for Now Assist in knowledge management. The innovation labs are very specific to our product releases, but we do try and find opportunities where we can showcase our up and coming products within the innovation lab and get early feedback from our customers through that avenue. For market trends, definitely AI innovation is front and foremost for our team right now. We also partner with Knowledge Centered Service, where we do forums like this with customers that are a part of that group and get insights from them where they're headed and understand where that organization is making recommendations in regards to methodology for knowledge. And then we have a lot of third-party extensions that we work with, that we continually monitor to make sure we're understanding where they're headed so that we can integrate them into knowledge management accordingly. Last but not least is our collaboration with our other platform product groups. So we definitely collaborate with our sales, solution consulting, and impact teams who are our front line to our customers. Obviously, we work very closely with our outbound product team, such as Rob and others, to understand where our customer feedback is and what our customers want to see in the future. And then we also work with internal product teams to understand what feedback they're getting within their product space so that we can collaborate with them and improve knowledge management within their spaces as well. So a lot of different inputs that we're getting across the board from our customers so that we can build fabulous features within our product roadmap, and that will ensure you will be happy with.
Thank you so much, Robin. Yeah, and myself and Robin participate in a lot of these events, obviously, but in one-on-one customer conversations where we can, and we get great feedback from you. So definitely keep the ideas coming, even in some forum like this. We look through and scan all of the chats, all of the Q&A to see where we could be better. So keep the ideas coming. Thanks again, Robin. For question 5, what are most customers most concerned about when scaling knowledge globally? And how does ServiceNow Knowledge Management support multilingual content delivery?
As scale and speed become non-negotiable for most of our global clients, they face more challenges regarding dependency on development, various resource problems, and also scalability in terms of integration with complex UIs. So ServiceNow has been addressing those concerns with task management in terms of translations with localization framework, as well as allowing customers to manage their workflows and integrations with translation management systems and AI-powered translations through our tools. However, we still hear questions like, how can we maintain translation quality without slowing down publishing? Or can local teams manage non-English content without developer support? How can we track translation progress and measure impact? Most customers have access to localization framework and have been using it successfully to address the scalability of translating content across multiple languages and regions. However, certain things like how can we do it at scale with managing user access across all of the knowledge bases. And last May, we released a new application called Localization Workspace that allows customers to manage all of their workflows at scale across the whole enterprise. And that localization workspace also allows customers to speed up integrations with complex UIs like portals, for example, where multiple content types come together in one user interface. We also have various analytics and dashboards that allow customers to track their content, and not just in as one corpus, but by region and by language.
Thank you so much. So I hope some of these FAQs and the discussion here has helped get the juices flowing, and it looks like the Q&A panel's got quite a bit in there. So thank you all the presenters. Thank you guys for being here. Let's start taking some of these Q&A live. So the first one I do want to do is one Andre already answered in the Q&A panel, but I think it's a great thing to hear because I get a lot of questions about external content and bringing it in versus not bringing it in, and how a search works. So Andre, the question that was asked was to turn on AI search when the knowledge base is external to ServiceNow. Is there a plugin or method to have AI index external? This could be different things. Andre, could you just kind of summarize your answer again live for everybody? Because I think the third-party connectors is something that's powerful.
Yes. So recently in the January timeframe, we released something called external content connection or connectors. And what these external content connectors allow us to do is index and crawl information and then natively ingest that into AI search. And once you have it in AI search, then you can do all the rich, wonderful stuff. You can expose it in different experiences. You can do synthesized response, things of that nature. So we have many connectors available since January. We had a January, May, July release. I think we're up to about 12 different connectors. The specific connector cited in the question, right answer, we don't have a connector for that specific system. However, we do have what's called a web crawler, where if you have a public support site, for example, we do have the ability to index and crawl a public domain, like a support site. So potentially, if Right Answers is a publicly crawlable site, we may still be able to ingest and index that information. So that was the nature of that. And as time moves on, we will be having a larger and larger ecosystem. Our goal is to have 26 plus connectors by the end of the year.
And thanks, Andre. I've researched a little bit on this myself because just in my demos, I don't really connect to third-party systems, and just watching how we've grown from the first two connectors to what we have today, it's really well documented out on the doc site. So take a look out there if you're interested. Now, there was a question in here about the editor and Word and things like that. And I know Robin has already touched on, what's coming soon with the Knowledge Center in Q4 and the new enhanced article editor. So more to come on that. But I also did want to just remind everybody that we released PowerPaste for TinyMCE. So if that plugin isn't turned on for your TinyMCE editor, that can help cut and paste. I've heard that question a few times about saving some of the formatting, cutting and pasting from Word as well. Eliza, is there anything, sorry, I'm trying to read through these real quick. Is there anything you want to talk to in the couple that you've answered around SkillKit?
Yeah, so there's just one question essentially asking if there are any analysis skills to support kind of analyzing feedback trends to try and understand how users are actually using knowledge and perhaps just reducing the amount of questions they get. Or I will say I've seen this asked before in terms of identifying, articles that need quality improvements or articles that getting that feedback from users to say, hey, we need more information on this, or this article is too long. And that use case library that was mentioned earlier, we do have a custom skill built out. With Analysis Skill Kit, you do need a Analysis license to build this out, but it does kind of hold your hand through the process of creating like a knowledge course or knowledge-based reviewer. Yeah, exactly. I think if I can annotate on here, these two examples might be a really good first step just to kind of get your feet wet in terms of building out something like that. And then you can expand out to the use cases to kind of understand like, okay, where else do you want to deploy it? But that's just my recommendation. But other than that, I think we're good.
Thank you so much. So while we're on this screen too, there was a question about the duplicate feature. So the question is, can the review duplicate article feature detect if content is identical? If two articles have the same title but different content, will the duplicate detection still trigger? So the answer to that is yes, the duplicate feature works off of a similarity score and creates clusters of articles that are similar that meet a certain percentage. I want to say it's 65%, but I can't remember right offhand. So it will help guide you to finding articles that overlap. I like to say that this feature is great to find articles that maybe didn't get deprecated when a new article was created, or articles that were created by two different people that overlap in content that should be merged, or articles that overlap in content and should be separated for clarification. All right, let's see here. What else we have? Oh, there was a question about finding articles that might need to be retired. We did a metrics academy not long ago. And in that, we talk about some of the new dashboards that are the updated dashboards with knowledge management. The last dashboard on the knowledge management overview dashboard is articles expiring in the next 90 days. So there is a metric for that. And I think in the chat, we may have talked a little bit to how you can create a notification for something, notification trigger for that as well. Okay, there is another question about generating articles regarding create knowledge while it's viewing an incident. How does it know what kind of article you want to create? An agent may wish to create an article intended for fellow agents instead of creating for end users to help themselves self-serve a topic. So great question. We didn't talk a lot to article generation, but it has gone through iterations and will still continue to go through iterations as we get to Knowledge Center. But as I mentioned, when it first came out, it could generate an article based on the task that you were in either the standard or KCS format. If you're on the latest and greatest, what it will do is when you're in a task, it will ask you if you want to use analysis to generate a draft. It will then go through and look for similar resolve tasks to the one that you're working on now and prompt you if you would like to use any of those similar tasks. I believe it's up to 5 to help generate a better draft. The next question it asks you is what template would you like to generate it in? And then lastly, what language would you like to generate it in? So you get lots of options. As I mentioned earlier, with our August store release, I believe we introduced custom templates as well. So you can use it with templates that you may have built yourself. Hope that helps. All right. Will knowledge management use dynamic translation like Virtual Agent does? Lena, would you like to answer that one?
Absolutely. It already does support translation through dynamic translation method. So if you have already deployed agent chat, for example, with the provider of your translation, you can integrate that into knowledge base as well. And you can separate it by language or just have one translation solution combined. And in that case, you will see comparison UI and you can translate any knowledge base article through localization framework. You can find more information on the documentation side.
Great, thank you so much. Feedback taken on the University Fundamentals course needs to be updated. I will look into that. Thank you for the heads up. Oh, this is a good one. Robin, there is a question online about the research program that you mentioned earlier. I volunteered to participate as a customer to provide feedback and test new things, but haven't received any update. What should I expect on this? Thank you. I know this more falls into our research program, but maybe you could help with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So volunteering is great. In our research studies, we do have so many slots for those studies because of the amount of time and the different types of research that we do. So out of the volunteers that we get, we try and schedule as many people who do volunteer as possible. And I will try and capture the name, or Rob, could you? I don't see that question. So if you could capture the name of that, I will send it to our researcher to see if they have you as a volunteer and can make sure they reach out to you on the next one.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Andre, it looks like you want to answer one of these here. Do you think Now Assist for Knowledge will evolve to the stage where it's able to take an external article and reformat them to a preferred article shape, which would be optimum search for AI search? Now Assist. And maybe this is a joint one with Andre and Robin, but Andre, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, sorry, I was
Take your time.
thinking about another question, and now I have to reset my thinking on this question. My apologies. Lack of attention. Do you think we'll evolve to a stage that will take external? Yeah, okay. So where I was going with this, the answer to this is yes and no. So there's a little bit of a challenge here, right? So let's say that you have, and this has come up in a number of customer scenarios where, for example, let's say you're a bank and you have like a business unit, and then you have an IT group, and the IT group is the keeper of the source system, let's say SharePoint, for example, or etc. The challenge here is if you were to take that information from SharePoint and convert it into ServiceNow knowledge base articles, let's say there was an automatic way of doing it, it's not only about a one-time conversion of that knowledge over to ServiceNow, it's also about the ongoing life cycle of maintaining that information. So if you lift and shift that content over into ServiceNow knowledge, you also have to lift and shift all the users that are responsible for maintaining that content as well. So sometimes there could be organizational challenges based on who are the owners and the gatekeepers of those respective systems. So I just wanted to kind of mention that it's beyond just the technology. This is also a people and process aspect to consider as well. So that's what I wanted to share on that. But yeah, was Robin going to also chime in?
Robin, I didn't know if you wanted to mention anything about kind of the direction with Article Assist on that, with it just helping kind of making sure for search optimization and things that, you know, your article is formatted well, or do you want to save that for another time?
Yeah, I can speak to it a little bit. So we do have a new feature coming out called Article Optimization with Knowledge Center. For the first release of that feature, we don't have anything specific to search optimization, but that is something that we're looking at in the future. We are making article optimization a flexible framework, so customers can add in their own scans with their own business rules and optimization rules. So if you do have one that you want to add to the framework for specific to your instance for search optimization, that is something you can definitely do. And we will have instructions on how to use that framework and add those specific scans so you can identify those articles and perform the search optimizations on those articles.
Thanks so much. Hopefully that helps answer that question. I see that you did put your question in the chat about PowerPaste. Is it only offered as a button in TinyMCE, or does it also function when importing a Word document? So that functions when you paste into TinyMCE. That's not part of the Word integration. I would suggest maybe trying the cut and paste methodology. And if you are struggling with the Word integration, maybe open up a case with support, and then we could take a look at the outcomes of that case and the troubleshooting to see if there's anything else we see. Let's see here. Uh, Sharon or anybody else on the line, is there another question that you guys would like to answer live? I'm a little behind in my tracking here.
I can answer one question that just came in right now, which
Please
is there a feature to reword statements instead of just shorten and elaborate? So it sounds right now using the analysis context menu, which is that little analysis feature that you're typing text somewhere on the platform, and then you see the sparkle icons, you click it, and then there's options to either shorten or elaborate it. We did just release a method of essentially letting you create your own versions of that. Again, plugging analysis skill kit. I do have a walkthrough, which I'll link in a second here, of how to actually build that. I created one that essentially you have the option to change the grammar from US to UK or vice versa for a particular piece of text. So you can go out, build a custom skill, say like, hey, based on this input text, I want you to do something with it. Or from that little sparkle icon called the analysis context menu. So I'll post the link to show you how to do that in the chat, but the answer is kind of going out and creating your own custom skill. And if you'd like to share what your intention is, kind of what you're looking for, that'd be really interesting for us to see.
Robin, would you want to talk to anything? I think the question was on the roadmap. Is there anything coming in addition to short? Thank you, Eliza. I think the question was also on the
Yeah.
roadmap. Is there anything coming to that context menu with shorten and elaborate to help improve the article? Anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, so the one we are working on is this open prompt capability where you can put in open statement to add in content to the article. And that will be coming soon as well with Knowledge Center.
Thank you so much. I hope we have time for this one more. Lena, I don't know if you're still on the line, but one came in. How accurate are the auto translations? We've had native speakers review translations done through other programs. There's always errors. And I get this question a lot of different ways. So do you have any thoughts on this one?
Absolutely. So there are two parts to translations. One is what you get out of the box, which is platform translation of the user interface that we provide. So that one is usually quite accurate. If you see any issues or problems, you can always open a ticket or change the translation yourself through the systems and tools that we provide. So another part to it is the translation of customer content. And I think that's the most error-prone translation because we do not put customers into specific translation provider limitation. Every customer would create their own translation workflow that they can manage through a localization workspace or localization framework. So that's where the workflows come in, whether you want to check the translation, etc. But usually it's the translation provider that provides the translation, not ServiceNow. We do realize that it is not really helpful for your users to see incorrect translation, and we're taking steps to help customers create very cohesive and accurate translation of all their content. Localization workspace is the first step on this road, and we're planning to have a lot of exciting features for you to keep the quality of translation the way you want to appear in front of your customers and users.
Thank you so much. One of my favorite pieces of Star Trek tech was the universal translator. Could just always tell what everybody was saying. I'm waiting for that one. So, all right, I'm going to take
We support Klingon in our knowledge base, right?
Andre is my brother. He gets me. So I'm going to steal one because I realized that I skipped something on a slide, and I'm glad somebody caught it. So going back to question number one, there is a question that I just lost. Oh, here it is. How is the AI Knowledge Gaps feature different from the Demand Insights feature already? It also is this feature already available. So referring to the fourth bullet here, gaps in knowledge. So this is something that Demand Insights has existed for a while. It's a machine learning function that will go through and cluster tasks based on similarity where there's not knowledge associated with them and try and help guide you to find gaps in knowledge. This bullet, I have a couple of talking points. We're working with something coming for Knowledge Center that's going to help you look for this type of gap in your knowledge. It's going to be something that's guided as part of Knowledge Center, and you'll hear more about that very shortly. But we also have a lot of great reports that help with this. So with our AI search dashboard, you can see things that have a really low click ranking, meaning that perhaps your knowledge article isn't aligning with what users are searching for, like the keywords that they use. So your articles might not be in the context of the question. Also, you'll be able to see searches that don't have any results pop up. So there's a few different ways that AI search, dashboarding, and machine learning can help. So I will just throw out, Demand Insights is great, but if you're not using it today, I would say hold for what we've got coming with Now Assist and gap identification. So I hope that answers the question online. And with that, though, I think we are getting pretty close online to the end of time. So I'm going to keep going here and close out. I will let the panelists keep answering questions in the Q&A chat panel if you would. But I hope everybody found this really, really fun and informative. So we do have feedback sessions. This is the broader session as well for platform owners feedback sessions with our new style of doing these academies at the platform level. Session durations are about 60 minutes and very flexible with scheduling. We talk about all kinds of topics ranging from upgrade, subscription, catalog, as well as very targeted things like our knowledge programs that we've talked to before. We have a very heavy academy schedule moving forward. I'm excited about how we've combined this with platform because it allows us to get information out from the experts that you hear on the panel here that talk about things that maybe aren't directly knowledge management related but touch. So we do 2 sessions a week now of academy sessions. So keep an eye on that calendar listed here to see what's upcoming, and feel free to send us or your sales team ideas for academies that we should do in the future. My next live academy is a little further out. That had to do with some conflicts and some timing, but the next one is going to be what's new in Zurich. We're going to cover what's been released. We're going to have a guest speaker to talk about some things with designing more dynamic workflows for your knowledge management process and kind of deep dive into that. And we'll talk to all the great features that are coming in Zurich. In between this time, I hope to do a knowledge short or a couple of knowledge shorts, maybe one on duplicate article identification and how to leverage that, as well as how to adjust your knowledge generation skill to a custom or another out-of-the-box template. If you guys have any other ideas for great sessions that you would like to have, please add them in the survey at the end of this presentation. And we always like to end with this slide. If you need help, we've got lots of ways to help. We've got ServiceNow Impact to help you get off the ground. We're looking to do a refresh process with Now Impact to where we'll be able to do a tune-up of knowledge. That's one that we're looking to build out, an impact program for a tune-up. We have training and certification around everything platform and ServiceNow, and expert services if you need a little bit of help from ServiceNow directly or from our partner community. So I just want to say one last big thanks to all of the experts online. I appreciate everybody who put questions in. I really hope this was helpful. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for your participation, and keep the questions coming. I'll keep the line open for a little bit, and we will post the recording and whatever Q&A we didn't get to online. So thank you very much.